That is going. All right. Waiting for the stream to come, waiting for that to start so that I can hit mute so that we're not listening to echoes. And there we are. Going. We are good to go. Welcome, everybody. We are here as part of our Score to Picture group, small but mighty group of folks. If you're going to be watching this, later, we are actually going over our cue for the Terminator, which was a Q-tube piece that we've been working on. And we're going to talk about lessons learned and things that we want to do next time. We're gonna have another clip. So we meet about every 2 weeks. We might change that to every 3 weeks. And we're going to be scoring to, I think the colony is next. So if you're just tuning in, that will be our exercise, and we'll remind you of that later. We are going to be reviewing some cues today in PyBox. I'm going to pull this up and we're going to take a listen and then share our comments. And here we go. Share the screen, and we're going to go to, what is that, desktop number 3. Ta-da. Here we go. All right, so we have several cues.
We don't see it, Chris.
We're not seeing
I
it.
haven't hit the button yet. Well, and
I'm sorry.
share sound, don't I?
Don't forget the audio.
Share sound.
We're an impatient bunch.
Yeah, so I'm looking up here. It's got the little circle around it. It just didn't, I didn't hit the button. There we go. I'm learning. The other thing that we learned this week with sound, there's a little setting that allows you to hear your DAW and that sort of thing. But then you go back, you go to mono versus stereo. Am I in stereo or mono right now?
You're in stereo, Chris.
Okay, then that's okay. I'm gonna listen to, oh, actually, you know what? I have to change that because we have to go over here. Am I in mono or stereo right now?
Now you're
Mono. Okay.
Yeah.
I think original sound for musicians has to be turned on so that we can hear this better, because I think we had a problem with that last time, if I recall.
Yesterday.
Try this again. There we go. We're going to come back up here, desktop 3, and hopefully this will work. Let's do Dick's first, since he's not here, and then we'll share. We'll beat on him, and we'll share comments and suggestions around what he's doing. One of the nice things about PyBox, which we use for several collaborations, is that we can all leave comments in here. So we have, several of us have left comments in this. But we're going to take a listen, see what he did. This is Dick Donor and Terminator Rescore. Sound?
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997. Was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I...
Sorry, it's choking on the internet. Not sure why it's doing that, but...
Changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may.
Well, that's a drag if it keeps doing that.
Yeah.
have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Why don't you play it again, Chris? I think now that it's buffered, it will go through.
Let's try it again.
Talk. Talk fast.
You first.
Bummer.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1990.
Okay, I think we're gonna have
7.
problems getting this to happen, but I think we can fairly share some comments because we had a chance to look at this beforehand, or I think everybody here has. And one of the things that I picked up, I love the beginning because the beginning kind of came out and it was unique. It caught me by surprise, and I thought that that was a nice aspect to have there. And one of the things that we strive for as composers is to sound different, sound a little bit unique. And I think he absolutely captured that. And he had my attention all the way to about 42, 43, with everything felt comfortable. It worked okay. But at about this time where they start, it's the hero moment for this character, and they change the mood. That is the time to ramp up. Now, I noticed in my cue, before the boots, I started a little bit too soon, I thought, but it still had to start and then ramp up. I could have ramped up, but once the boots get here, it really feels like it needs to be, I'm the hero, I'm the badass. You better be, is that enough of a resume for you? It's got attitude. And that building, I love the theme that he has at the end.
Yeah.
That it's really a beautiful theme, but it doesn't quite feel like it's building enough as it goes through this action scene ever into here. And there's a natural, big hit right here. There's something that's a climax, that you're building up to right here, because that's a pretty obvious, punch spot. And I love what he did from here on out. It was good. The way that it ended. I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is that we can't cut off the end of this if we want to put it on our YouTube channel and that sort of thing. So keep that in mind if you're gonna do a full version of this. So with that said, those are my comments, and I loved it. It was great work, Dick. And I love the fact that you came up with something it really stood out as being unique. There's questionable and subjectivity and whether or not like that choir was, right for this style, but, overall it was unique, and I like that part of that. So does anybody else want to take jump in next on the comments?
I actually toyed with the idea of using a choir as well, but I would not have done it until the last section. I think his placement of the choir, I didn't 100% agree with, especially since he doesn't bring it back again. It's just sort of kind of out of the blue, and then it goes away and you never hear it again. I think it might have been more effective if he had brought it back even more intensely in the last section.
Yeah, that could have been how he used it. He could have used that to build.
Yes.
That's a good idea that he can think about.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking too. Like, it came in too soon. I think it would have been better like during the boot part, during the bigger parts. And then some of the music was kind of on a horror, horror story, horror kind of thing. This is not necessarily, it's like science fiction. So it was very interesting. I didn't think that quite worked with the, maybe more explosions, maybe more different sound than like the horror sound. It was kind of, I think it was out of place. But I do agree that, that I think the choir didn't work at the beginning, but if you would have used it in the parts where, like you were saying, it needs to build, I think it would work. But I did love the music at the end. It didn't do that build or that excitement, but I think it fit really well. with everything. I just need a little more exciting moments, because that is the climax, in the middle at the end, with the boots, starting with the boots and stuff. But overall, great attempt.
Yeah. Art, you want to make some comments?
I don't feel qualified to comment on these because I really don't understand the genre very well. But from a technical standpoint, I think the strings were a little too upfront to me. And I understand you wanted to make it like in your face, but they seemed almost out of the picture because they were so sharp, And also when the vocal stopped when she's waking up, it was like so obvious because the guys just went, oh, and maybe there would be a way to disguise that, to like maybe put a fade in there or something so it wasn't so abrupt in the stop on that, But I liked a lot of the ideas, and the melodies were great, Yeah, so that's my comments.
Did you like the sharp 9 chord with the flat 13?
I didn't notice.
I'm teasing you.
I
You're
didn't
good at that. That's what I'm saying.
I was
And
like,
I know he's got one in there, probably.
I didn't feel like the harmonies really kind of like didn't fit the picture,
Oh, I thought he did the theme was beautiful. At
Yeah.
the end, I really, really enjoyed the theme.
Right.
That was wonderful. It just as far as building up the picture, it needed something to lift it up, as in complement to what he already did. That's my feeling, but I think that's what other people were kind of suggesting too. Cool. Well, great job, Dick. Let's move on to Art, and then we'll work our way through. How's that sound? There we go. So, Art, you had something kind of interesting here. Let's go over here. We talked a little bit about this beforehand, so let's.
I don't know why it's not buffering right. It doesn't seem to buffer at all until you start, and then it doesn't catch up. Oh, there it is. Now it is. Oh, maybe that'll work.
I'm gonna try and do this beforehand.
But the thing is, when you start back at the beginning, it starts at the beginning with the buffering.
Well, we'll see how that. Oh, well.
Well,
You know,
might work.
Well, let me just do this a couple times and see if that works. Come over here on that buffered to the end. And now I come over here. Let's try this. And so far, let's try it. Well, it's buffered more. Let's see what it does.
Okay.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Wow. See, Art, you really did a better job than you give yourself credit for. If you listen to the theme, the only thing is that same spot at 42 seconds, right before the boots on the ground, that would have been an opportunity to change it. So like that's scene 1 and scene 2 of the 3 acts. Okay. And then having something that connects again with that heroic, the actual theme that's underneath there, what you've created musically is fantastic. It just feels like it needs a little bit more, as I think I put in there, a little more percussion, something that's just driving it and pushing it a little bit more to help you with that crescendo as it gets up to that explosion again, or that section part. That's just my feeling with it. But you really did. I mean, if you really listen to the music that you put in there, it's really beautiful. It's really a fantastic job.
What's really interesting is there is a pretty big percussion bed in there, but you can't, I couldn't bring it up because it destroyed the dialogue, so it's like, I know a lot of people like really raise the dialogue high to make that work, but I wanted to see if I could do it without it, but it's just really hard, but there's like a whole percussion bed underneath, believe it or not. I know I can't hear it either,
Yeah, and that's why I use that technique of just kind of, I put it in there how I wanted it musically, and I didn't have as much harmonic stuff going on, but I like, then again, you'd see where the vocal is, and I shifted it over so that it stood out, and moved it over. That helped, and it didn't distract because you're really connecting with the picture at that point with it. But anyways, I love the actual music that you have in there. It's a matter of like, how do you get that? How do you find that? That's that's what we're all searching for, is that way to really make that right combination, that it just stands out in the right time when it's supposed to, and doesn't get in the way, and then still has something that goes, wow, that's great music. How about you, Lisa? You want to comment?
Same here. I didn't get the chance to comment. I look up at the, yeah, same here. I think the theme was great, with the strings and stuff. Yeah, definitely needed a little more, forward moving, ramp up, at the climax. But overall, I mean, I think, you should give you a little more credit. Like, it was really great. I've seen, trailers that use the, string theme with the orchestra. And I think it worked well. If you're familiar with the Terminator, series, like that's what they used a lot, throughout. So I say good job overall.
Yeah, especially in the beginning, you were really connecting with an emotional approach.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many different approaches, and the emotional approach does work, and it did work. But I think we all struggle with that ending. That's, to have that right build. How about you, Janet?
Well, I'm looking at the comment that I left here on Piebox for, and I stand by that comment. I thought that musically it had, as I said there, this sort of sad heroic theme, which I thought was interesting, as opposed to action heroic. There was a little bit of sadness in there that I felt, which I thought was very interesting, because I think that fits the I'm a Terminator fan, so I think that fits the characters and the story pretty well.
Yeah, I know. And there's a fine line between film score, and again, that's where I struggle with the genre,
Yeah.
And where is it supposed to tell a story, and where is it supposed to get you excited about going out to see the movie? And
yeah, I think trailers, trailers are, as I understand it, are very seldom written by the composers for the film, right? So they have a different purpose, and their purpose is, as you said, to get people excited to go out and see the movie.
Right.
Cool.
I remember Mark saying one time that, or a couple times, the first time he wrote a trailer, he sent it to the company that he was doing it for, and they said, well, this is great, but this is a film score, this isn't a trailer, so it's like, yeah, where's that line?
Yeah, yes, you're right.
Cool.
Talk.
I'm human.
Wait, I'm gonna try and get
Sarah,
You may have.
Let's get it queued up as much as we can, and hopefully that will avoid some glitches, and we'll give it a try over here again. So this is Lisa's.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future, but you didn't change our fate.
Cool. Who wants to go? Art.
Okay. Well, I love the sounds he used. You know, it had a very techno kind of feel to it, which I think is appropriate considering, you know, the subject matter. And I really liked the concept of the pulsing underneath. There was one point though that I felt like the pulsing was almost like a 4 to the floor kind of feel to it. And I thought that really took me a little bit out of the style. And you know, I think some of that pulsing made of the fact that it came in and out. I might have liked it if it had been more consistent, because it took me a little bit out of the scene every time it would come in. Oh, there's the pulse again. So I don't know how to go about doing that. But I really liked what you did, and I thought the style was perfect for that kind of thing, and the sounds were great. I love the sounds that you created. Thanks, Lisa.
You want to go, Janet?
Yeah, again, I'm reading my comments that I left here. I thought you had some really cool sounds in there too. I think that the pulsing sound could have been enhanced, the last section, because the last section to me was a little too similar to the section before, as far as, you know, drive and build up. So I think that, and I think that would be easy to adjust. You just like throw more instruments in there, basically. So that was really my only critique, was that I think it could have used more of a build.
Well, I don't know what happened. I put in a bunch of comments, so I don't know where they went. They were
Oh, well, I think that was part of my other video, which will come to what I've learned.
So,
I remember your comments.
when you eliminate a video and the
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, because
Yeah, because that video didn't have any music in it.
we need to come to what I've learned. So I'll wait.
well, that's one thing you just learned, okay?
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll let Chris go, and then I can go what I learned.
Yeah. So what you do is you connect with when you're putting it up, you're uploading it as a version. Then it keeps the other version. You have the comments. It keeps the comments.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what
I shouldn't have left it up there. Right. Yeah, I know.
So I don't remember my comments now, but
I didn't know it was going to delete the whole thing.
Of trying to get the build. I think that's the same challenge that I think we all had, is that end part, getting that build to come up. And you know, I ended up doing my last part of that thing like 4 or 5 times. I just wasn't happy with it, so I remember how hard it was. But I really love the sounds. One of the things that jumped out to me that I really thought was good is you're using audio clips and going shh, and that was really, really well done. Yeah. Going down to nothing and the right way. I think that one of the reasons why Art had a problem, and I didn't say anything about it, but I kind of felt it wasn't quite right. In Dick's piece was coming out into that silent part. It didn't stop quick enough, so it stood out as kind of lingering on in the wrong place, you know, beyond what it needed to. So perhaps a technique like that could be helpful. But anyways, you used that very well at twice, right, kind of close to each other there in that beginning section. That was really, really nice. I apologize. I got a phone call from my wife in the middle of, so I didn't hear all of the ending of it. But I will take a listen and I will add some comments into that as well. But I really like the ideas that you had in there. It'd be interesting to compare with what you did before it.
Lisa,
Well, yes.
sorry. What did you use a library of sounds, or did you use audio clips, or what were they?
I have a library of sounds that I use from one of my, I guess, one of my wannabe, wish he was my mentor, but kind of Gil Flow, Gil Flores. He is a big trailer guy. He's pretty awesome. And he has like a sound library that I pulled from. So, and, I figured that it had sound design in there, but I feel at the end, to make that more interesting, that last fight scene where she's throwing the guys around the room, I wanted to build that up, and I wanted to make that explosion scene a little more explosion, but yeah, it's like yes, it was, yeah, I got those sounds from Gil Flores, which is a really awesome composer of trailers and other stuff.
I wish, there was more about sound design and that kind of thing in cinematic composing and in general, because it's something that I just would like to learn more about,
Well, I think one of the things that I've seen shift, and since I started paying attention to this in the last, 2.5, 3 years, and being involved in cinematic composing, is it really shifted quickly to being a lot more about sound design and these cool, big, bombacious, whatever, some just obnoxious sometimes sounds, and how they're tweaked and manipulated. It's really changed, and it's
YouTube has changed their philosophy too. You can tell. It was more, when it started out, it was more film based, more film scoring based. Now it's more sound design and this kind of thing based. I guess it's because they realize that so many people are into that,
And go where the market is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Lisa, tell us what you learned. What did you learn?
Oh, well, I've learned that when you export audio, it embeds in the file, but when you upload it to YouTube, it gets ripped out. And that's kind of what happened here also. Like, I listened to the file. I'm a person that double checks. So I listened to the actual file, on my hard drive. I'm like, okay, let me listen to this. Let me look at it. And then when I uploaded it here, in the box, like, it got stripped out. And I know somebody was having some issues with that. So basically what I learned is, in Logic or whatever your DAW is, bring in all the elements as tracks. And then when you hit export to movie, you make sure there's a box that you check. Make sure you don't check that box, and just kind of bring everything as a track, and then export the whole movie out. So yeah, and then when you do YouTube, make sure you check the little preview that's right there, let's see, those little things that you do, like when you're rushing. I would think I was rushing trying to get up there. So it was up for 5 days, and I got 300 views, and I literally had to redo it over again and put it back up, because Janet was like, I can't hear anything. And I went and checked. I'm like, oh my God. And it was like, yeah. So that's what I learned. So I'm really good at now making sure my audio is in there. That's interesting. I don't know what the philosophy or the tech is behind that. Like, how does YouTube know there's another audio there? But anyway, so when you bring the film in, just bring it in with no audio and just put in your tracks in there, just regular. That's what I've learned in Logic, which is probably a thing anyway. That's just something I learned.
I don't know the process for exporting to Logic. For me, all I do is I dictate the region within my DAW that I'm gonna capture in Cubase, and by dictating by saying I want everything in this region, and it's from the beginning of the movie to the end, then it puts it in automatically in the movie file that I create. The drag, kind of as a lesson learned in doing a few of these, some of the contests that are out there, my file it's not 4K or super high quality, but it's a good enough quality that it's a pretty big file. And sometimes what the competitions want with your fully rendered with audio file is they want it within a certain size. So that requires taking it, importing it into Adobe Premiere or another program, and then kind of compressing it down a little bit. So I mean, that's along the lines of what you learned. I learned in a different way, but you might look at the most optimal settings in Logic as a way to make that workflow simpler for you. I don't know what it is in Logic. I haven't done that.
Yeah.
What you, Art?
So Lisa, how did you export it originally when you went from Logic?
So when you bring stuff in Logic, you're able to export the audio at its own track or region, which I didn't do this time because I did it for another movie that I scored, so this is kind of like the second time, in a 6-month period that I've actually brought movie in to Logic. So I brought it in and I scored it, with the audio that was attached to the video, which was the dialogue version and the sound version. Okay, so the dialogue version and then the sound design version. So when I exported it, I listened to the actual file that I exported in my folder on my desktop, and it had the sound that I put in there. But when you go to YouTube and other things like this, Box, when you upload it, it somehow knows that file and strips it out.
Oh,
so
it
stripped out my stuff and left so what I've learned is that I need to have it as a track. Like he's saying, I need to export the actual audio if I'm going to use it as a track and separate it from the actual video, the movie.
Yeah. So what it's doing there, I've run into this doing various renders in like Adobe Premiere and so forth. It's linking to the file. It's rendering the file, the audio file, and it's putting it in another place or keeping it somewhere, but it's linking to that file. So when you upload your video, it's going up there, and it doesn't have that other file isn't going with it, so it isn't linking to it. So it has to be embedded in the video that you render when you push it out. So I think the term would be embed, but that's probably the language that they use. But yeah, that's going to just be a setting because in Logic. Somehow.
Yeah, it's a setting. Yeah, it's like before you have a dialogue, if you have a movie that has audio, there's a dialogue box says, do you want to embed this or include this? And you don't want to click that because it'll strip out the other one. So what I did was, next time I would just bring in the video by itself or make sure I have the audio file as a separate track, kind of like you were saying in Cubase. Like,
I bring in the video and the audio separated on different tracks.
Yeah.
So you do that in Logic. And then, yeah.
Yeah. So when I went back, I just brought in everything as a track and then it was fine, and I didn't check the box. But next time I'll just bring in the video by itself. And that way I won't have that problem, just separate the track. I think I did that in the short film I'm just learning. Like that was like 3 months ago when I did that. And I think when I brought the video in, I did say, there's a word that says, when you import the movie, it said, do you want the audio as a separate track? I hit yes, and you do want that. That way it's separate from the actual video. But this time, I forgot, didn't do it. I don't do this a lot. So now it's burned in the brain.
That's the thing about learning.
It's remembering. I don't think I'm ever going to forget it because I was so embarrassed.
So in other words, when you were doing your Logic file, you didn't have the audio from the original movie in the track?
Yes, pretty much that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't, it was embedded in the movie that I imported.
I got
but
you.
It needs to be a separate audio file like all your other.
Yeah.
Because when you export it, all you do is go to movie and then you say export movie audio to movie.
Exactly.
And it puts the music that you composed into it. But if you don't put the audio as separate tracks, it doesn't.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
So the embed switch is when you're importing the movie.
When you're importing the movie.
Not because you'd want to embed it on the way out. But
right.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
But and somehow YouTube and other things understand that that's not a part of the track. So that's more of a technical. But yes, I got it now. It's not going to happen again.
So when you export in Logic, the music, audio to music, it embeds your music to the film.
Yes, it does. But if you
But
do
it keeps
not,
but it keeps the audio track separate like it is in your file.
yes, but if you don't actually hit separate, take the audio out of the movie, it doesn't, or it still does it.
Because it's embedded
But
in
yeah,
the film, and then there's no
it's in the film. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's picking in the audio. It's kind of like YouTube and Box or whatever you upload is picking the audio but the audio file that you create is not really there, even though it's in the file. It was weird because when I had the actual file, I opened it up on my desktop, QuickTime, I hear my stuff, but when you upload it, somehow it gets stripped out. So you really have to embed it.
And one of the advantages of having that as separate tracks in your DAW is that you can adjust the volume and you can change it. So that's handy. So let's take a listen to Janet's. Great job, Lisa. Thank you for sharing. I'm going to kind of go through this and see if I can get that buffer to work a little bit better. Boom, boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom, ba So let's go. All right, looks like we might get lucky here. And here's Janet's track. Oh, I'm going to start it again. Let's get over here. Come on there. Come on, you can, little big fella. Drag that it doesn't go very smooth. All right, we'll try it again. Oh, really? Come on.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the...
Why is it doing this?
It doesn't like the. It doesn't like the.
First.
It doesn't do that to me elsewhere. I'm gonna try and buffer it again.
But I would like to point out,
You didn't change our fate.
and when Connor was talking about, listening, it's funny that everybody kind of, even when I looked at the videos through the cue, that everybody kind of paused when she was with the gun and she said, hey, like everybody kind of didn't do music there. I had music there too. It was stepping over that dialogue so hard I couldn't fit anything in there. So it's funny how we all kind of did that.
Well, it's important.
And it makes it more powerful.
It's a natural.
As long as we're stopped, I really like the way Janet did that, though. I mean, because it stopped, but there was this continuous string line that faded out over time, and it wasn't so abrupt, which was different than many of the other ones I've seen.
Yeah,
that I disagree with, but that's my personal taste and
you
subjectivity. I disagree because that was one of my things I didn't like that it carried over. I like it because that's a dramatic accent when she said talk. That's like, I mean, because it's not about our music, it's about them. And I thought, but anyways, let's try and listen to this one more time and we'll do that. But that's where subjectivity is all, everybody has.
We'll try again.
Really?
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
Go back a little bit once that catches up. See if it works better. Maybe not.
Just let it go.
Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset.
Just have to let it go.
I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Yeah, I think Janet hit the build up at the end. I think she was the closest amongst all of them, just hitting the actual action and the build up and like boom, you know. And I love the use of I think it was horns and everything. I think the ending, she was the closest when it came to the build up, I think, you know, that you need in a trailer.
Well, thanks.
Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives.
I felt that.
What was that, Chris?
Oh yeah.
I like that. So, even though that one little spot, it worked.
I can see you're
It
very
wasn't
upset.
a burden, whatever.
I'm going to
It
help
was
you
all nice.
protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Did anybody else, okay, when the girl's like yelling like this right there,
Mhm.
it's like off because there should be something for that, and then it comes up like, but it's really awkward. It's an awkward place because the real hit is right there with that thing. But I don't know. That was a little struggle for me in that spot. But I thought you did a nice job right here. Okay, ready, set, go.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor.
Nice, nice, right there. That was a great way to treat that. That's exactly what I wanted, where I felt I could have improved mine, is right on this hit, between this hit and the boots. But then when the boots hit, which you do,
29, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future.
here.
So I listened to the original Terminator theme from the original movie, and there's that drum
Saved 3 billion lives.
4, which I incorporated into that
So
section.
which one? I'm sorry.
The original Terminator movie, if you listen to the theme,
Yeah.
there's a 7/4 time signature drum beat. Da
Oh,
da
cool.
da 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 da.
Yes.
That's what I put in that boots section there.
Nice. Did some research. That's good.
I did some
Yes, you did.
research.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it back, but it's subtle.
And then right here, that was a
You may
great
have
hit.
changed the future.
So
Yeah.
now,
You didn't change our fate.
so now the 16th note things you were doing in here, where are we going here? Coming in, once you hit in here. So one of the things, like, if you just have like a sustain note or something over this little part where he's getting his head blown off, it doesn't work. And so what works about yours being in there, and I had felt I put more accents on it, but is you've got a 16th, you've got a rhythmic thing going on underneath it that connects with it. Because otherwise, if you just have like a spacious thing and you've got drums kind of around it, this doesn't make sense, and it needs to tie in. So that's one of the things that I thought really worked about how you had your theme built through there. And then bammo to this, and
You didn't change our fate.
the only thing that I had a challenge with, and I think I put a comment into this, is your fate. I lost hearing that. And that's kind of a no-no that we have to work around, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're either going to take your music so you don't get to hear how good it is, or you know, because that's, I don't know, that's one of the hardest things with that. So do you want to start with comments? Did you get enough art to be able to comment?
Yeah, it was hard, but I'll do my best. I really like the pulsing synths, and probably that really pulled it all together for me. And the fact that they weren't all the same, that you use different pulsing synths to keep the energy going throughout. The orchestration was really well done. I really liked the way you used the low brass in that one section. Was really tastefully done, because so many of these trailers have low brass. It's like monster brass in your face, you know, but it's not really realistic, you know, and that was really well done and very effective for how it was used. Let me see what else. Oh, it was really hard to tell because it was so out of sync with the buffering and all, but I thought the hit points were great, and you really nailed everything. It was very well done, Janet.
Thank you. Thank you. This is my first trailer, guys.
Nice work.
Yeah, thanks. I wanted to be careful. I know, you know, there's a debate on, you know, how many hit points to hit. I chose purposely not to hit too many because I thought it would be a little, as they say, Mickey Mousing.
Yeah, it gets cartoonish.
Yeah. So and since we don't have the benefit of a director, I chose my own hit points and went with those.
Cool. So Lisa, did you already go too, or?
Yes, I think I said, yeah, I already said, you know, that she was the closest to, I think, the dramatic end, and yeah, great use of orchestra and everything. Maybe we need to do like a collaboration.
What were the pulsing?
You have the pulsing was great. Yeah, like and mine was, yeah. So I'm just saying.
What were the pulsing synths you did use, Janet?
I made use, so here's some things I learned, and that is it forced me to explore my Albion 1 library to a greater extent than I ever had. So I used, so there are, in addition to the orchestra part of Albion 1, there are two other parts. There are Brunel loops, and there's something called Stevenson's Steam Band.
Right.
And so I think some of those were from
Albion 1.
yeah, they were from those parts of Albion 1.
Right. Yeah.
And I also got to use for the first time, actually, another plugin that I have, which is called Strings from Symphonic Elements. It's actually called Strings. And it has a bunch of sort of pre-recorded, you could do ostinatos or riffs or things like that. And at the end, I added one of those, and they sound very fake if you listen to them by themselves, but if you mix them with other things, they actually sound pretty good. So there was a string ostinato in there, kind of keeping everybody going.
Is that Native Instruments library?
No, it's a standalone plugin. It's by UJAM.
Oh, okay.
Called Symphonic Elements Strings.
Okay, cool.
One of the things that, you know, this little part right, the sound design in there, I thought that was a wussy sound. So not
Yeah,
you,
it was.
not you. That's
Yeah, you know,
like,
no, I know.
It comes in here, it's like, really?
Yeah,
You know, thing in there.
airplanes crashing
And
together.
then you got this guy in here again. Like, give me a break. Like, you know, give me some juice there. You know, this is action.
We'll talk to Archie. He's the one that did it.
So that part is interesting, where the Terminator is sort of jumping, but yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And I originally didn't have a sound in there. It just went right into this next section, but I felt like I had to button up that part first.
Yeah, well, the button up, this is one of the things that I liked when you did this right in here. This is coming out of here, and this is, I could have used in mine, I know, a little bit more space between when this happens and the boots. So like right here.
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor, August 29, 1997.
Yeah, right into there. That was great. Okay. So that that space is useful. And I'm trying to learn to use more space because I like to fill things up way too much sometimes. But space, that was really well done right in there. You also did it on the headlights, okay? When that in that little section in there, that use of space was really, really good in there in creating more tension and drama in there. So
Well,
overall,
thanks.
I thought you did a great job. I put in a few other comments in there, but yeah, it's wonderful
Well,
work.
thanks for giving us all the opportunity to do that. I would have never done anything like this on my own. So thank you for that.
Well, we're all here to learn.
Yeah.
Let's go over here. And now let's see if mine will screw up as well, which it probably will.
Is it because you're streaming on Zoom? Is that why this is?
Yeah.
Even a more musical.
Talk fast.
You first.
Never seen one like you before. Almost human.
I am human. Just enhanced.
I can see you're very upset. I'm going to help you protect the girl.
Why do you care what happens to her?
Because I was her. My name is Sarah Connor. August 29, 1997. It's supposed to be Judgment Day. But I changed the future. Saved 3 billion lives. Enough of a resume for you.
No. You may have changed the future. But you didn't change our fate.
Yeah, so you had a
I don't know what that is. I got lucky. It likes me.
yeah, you had a lot of
Likes me best.
yeah, it sounded very trailery, and then you had a lot of interesting industrial sounds in there that I like, but I thought it came in a little too soon. It was a lot of action going on with the music, which I think took away from the story of the trailer. But it was definitely sound more like a trailer with the industrial sound, and obviously like the right hits with the hit, because we've done this before. But I feel that this trailer in particular was more about the story and maybe the end of it, the faith. So I think it was a little too trailery, if that makes any sense. Like, I think, like you were saying, is like it needs a little more space in some of the parts, like you were saying with Janet. Like, I think, if you would have spaced some of those cool industrial sounds, but it was definitely closer, than, most of us got, with the actual action, leading into the climax. But great use of sound, obviously, because you've been doing this for a while. I could tell.
So I like that that very machine sounding thing that you had going on there. I thought that was a great sound, and goes with the whole Terminator vibe very, very, very well. And yeah, so as I said in my comment there, you went the more dissonant route, it seemed to me, which was interesting. So I think it worked great. I also mentioned in the comment, though, that the initial sound, I thought it sounded a bit harsh to me. But that's just my opinion. I would have liked to have heard it again later on. I don't know if you used it again later on. Did you?
Well, there's a lower version of it as part of a build of something else. But, I tried, like I said, I tried the ending a couple different ways, and I had it as the, kind of like a theater sandwich, right? You know, the overture and then the ending.
Right.
But it didn't work.
Ah,
It just it was too much, so I had to pull it back because I actually what's there was part of like 5 other things that were going on, and I pulled out the 4 other ones, and that was like, whoa, that works, you know. And yeah, that's the I kind of wanted to be bold coming into it, but
Yeah.
other people were going in a lot different way to come into the room, but I wanted to be noticed coming into the room.
Yeah, you
Definitely got noticed, but
you flung the door open and walked in the room. We,
it's like
you know, I
turning red with my
opened it-
headphones blaring.
opened it an inch and peeked around the corner to see if anybody was. Yeah, that's well, that's certainly a valid approach.
Yeah. So I mean, but I did bring it down a little bit in there. But so I'll just well, go ahead, you guys. I think you guys finish comments, and then I'll share what I learned.
But by standards of what is a trailer, this is probably closest of any of them, except maybe Janet's. But I thought that I liked the percussive motif, that da 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 dum, da 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 dum. Even used it at the end where it was going to the Q tube in like the distance, which was very cool. But I thought maybe it was a little overused in the action sequence at the end. I felt like it came in maybe a time or two more than I would have wanted. That's my only comment about that. Yeah, but overall, great job, Chris. Really nice.
Well,
Yep.
thank you. So what I learned, this was in a pulse. I wanted to have that rawr, something right there, and that one was an area that I would have I could have done a better coming out of that. But I really like the idea of coming to silence here. I really felt that was fun. Again, there's a different approach, but I like being bold coming into it. This section, your comment, Lisa, was about the piano, and maybe
And since we're talking about this, I got the same reaction about the piano. At first, I thought it was going to go into a Pink Panther thing because he got that like that bling,
Oh,
but
well, yeah, I love it. Was you just use it one time? I'm like, okay. I was thinking maybe I would like to hear more of that piano. The piano would have just worked into like a climax. But yeah, I only heard it one time. It was odd. I didn't know if you was trying to.
Well,
Yeah,
I was using it more as percussion than really as a piano. I mean, really, in these trailers, a lot of times there's like a single ping in the very beginning. Boom.
yeah, but it's a different kind of ping. The ping
Exactly.
The ping that you used here sounded like the Pink Panther.
This is a piano, and the other one is a little bit more of. It's got a kind of a more of a crystal kind of a percussion anvil kind of combination with it.
Right.
So that's something that I could have done a little bit, but I didn't want it to be too strong because I wanted to leave a little bit of space in here. But yeah, that's an interesting point to how to treat that. Maybe the piano wasn't the right thing to do there, but it worked better than a couple other things that I had tried.
Maybe it just needed a little processing.
I think if you
that's
use the
possible.
typical trailer ping with the piano, it would have been fine.
Yeah,
But it sounded like a real piano, so it was like a jazz thing, almost.
And I was coming in, I was trying to kind of warm into this part of it with something different, because this is really the second act, coming into this part of it. And, I was comfortable with how this kind of went through. The big drag for me was right here. His audio lip sync was off.
Yeah.
I screwed around with that pain in the butt for a while. That was
Oh, I just ignored it.
well, right. It was too noticeable. I mean, and I
fixing up.
That's not our responsibility.
well, no, I'm saying that because I almost turned in a piece to one of these things where I had accidentally shifted the audio off, and it was like, oh my God, and that would have been horrible. I would have, bye-bye right there. But and it was one of the better little, it's this one called Secret Agent or Agent 239, whatever it is. It's a cute, cool little 372, whatever it is. But it was a really cool piece, and I was really proud of how I did with that. But I had bumped the audio narration, and it was off, and I'm like, oh my God, I almost sent that as the render. So it's now something on my checklist. Like you learned, Lisa, you have a checklist, and the things you learn and the mistakes you don't want to make before you go and do something. Even in your workflow, if you forget to do something, you're going off and render, and something takes a while to render, and you forgot something, you just wasted a bunch of time. So it's on my checklist with that.
When you lock a track in Cubase, does that prevent something like that from happening, Chris?
I don't think they have the lock tracks like they do in
Yeah, they do.
In Cubase?
In Cubase. Oh, absolutely. Because that's the first thing I do when I pull in a video is I lock it. But I don't know if that would prevent you from shifting it.
Oh yeah, it's up there. I see the lock. I can lock it.
Can you shift the audio in reference to the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I bring them in as separate. So I bring in the video, and I bring in the narration and the sound design. And
yeah, they're separate tracks.
In Logic, they're separate tracks, but they're linked.
Yeah, this is a different one. I don't have anything in here, but I usually use these tracks up here in the top. I create a little divider, and I put them up here at the top.
Yeah.
And then I can, narrow that and see that as, oops, wrong one. Give me this guy back down here.
Yeah, so I know the lock prevents you from editing a track, but I was just wondering if it would also prevent you from, nudging it.
I'll test it.
You did.
I'll let you know right now. I'm going to lock this guy right here. I'm going to lock it. Then I'm going to see if I can move it. Nope.
Won't let you move it.
Nope.
Ah, okay. Well,
locked and I can
that's
move
good.
it.
That's good to know.
Yeah. Anyways, a test. What else did I learn in here? Coming out of here, again, I was trying to, I had a hard time getting something that started here and ended at that explosion. Now this blackout is a natural kind of cut point. It's they put black in here as part of their effect. There's a reason why they did that. Coming out, I put in some nice little powerful drums in here because that sound effect again sucked and bothered me. And then the same thing coming out of here. This was a little harder to deal with this transition, but I could have come out of here with a punch and then come in with something that was a little bit more spacious, like you did, Janet, and that would have made this a better track coming out into here and then starting my big theme, because it would have set the big theme up better having a little bit more space, because I'm kind of building and then you're here, but now you're starting your hero moment because she's a badass and she's talking about it.
Right.
So, but the space could have been a good build up for me to come into the boots, and the boots is really where I felt it needed to go. Now I have a little hurrah here, but I like what you did, Janet. I really want one of the ones that I saw online where they had this, the angels singing. That's a perfect little effect there, and it worked. It was like, wow, it was really powerful. And then, this again building up without getting on the dialogue, all leading up. Now this is a key point here. If I was a director or whatever, you catching something on the anger point right there. And I had some stuff that was going on. I think somebody had some little, I think it was you, Janet. You had some kind of a little scoot along thing, or you might have, I don't know.
Yeah, I had some audio. Yeah, I had some.
Yeah. You had a neat little shoo there. I was like, that's an idea I wanted to steal from you. That was a good one. Okay. And then now I had, when the guy gets thrown over there, you can't really hear it very well, but I had a really cool, thing that was following this guy that really worked, but it got buried with the other music as I built and added to it. And then I realized I wanted to have, this is where that kind of action stuff coming in. I wanted to start having a punch, and I think you hit a nice punch there too, Janet. That was a build point for you.
Yeah.
Now, coming up into this guy right here, I didn't have any rhythmic thing going on there, and it just felt it doesn't work because this guy's having his face blown off, and it's a kind of a thing. Now you had the 16th notes there. I didn't hear anybody else connecting with it, so it kind of felt like it wasn't, it just felt empty right there. So that in my case, I just put a percussion thing that added to it. This is all bang bang, beat 'em up, a lot of hits. It's all hit to hit. And bang, and they didn't have that much in the sound design that really reinforced that.
No, they didn't.
So
It's a lot of
again, that's a hit right there.
Yeah.
And then again, right over here, that's a hit, that explosion. And they didn't really have much there. But after this, you got to like kick back and go, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? Because I got to make room for that the fate. And so that was a challenging part right here. Coming from right here, I had to redo it like 2 or 3 different times because I had it big. Even with big, I had room for the voice. The voice was there and everything. But then coming out of it, you need that dramatic effect going off the bridge and hitting into the logo. It has to have some statement right there, that reinforces, boom, Terminator. You guys all hit that really good. But that was one of the challenges, is getting that to hit right and still have it. This is where I came in with that big sound like I had in the beginning, and it was too much. So I pulled back and I found a medium that kind of brought it back to the same kind of sound, but it wasn't too overpowering, and then it sort of worked for me. And then of course I tried to keep something fun and thing going on in here. So
yeah, that ending, where the car's going off the bridge, that was tricky. I did a lot of volume automation on that to make sure I didn't drown out the vocal.
Yeah, the fate is really
Yeah.
tough right there.
I'm just curious, Chris, when you're doing these competitions, are you allowed to adjust the audio volume?
You can adjust the volume on the narration so it fits in the right place with your music, and you can bring your music down underneath it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but can you adjust?
They're not judging you necessarily on that. Sometimes it's a criteria, sometimes it's not. I mean, one of the ones that I actually did, I did a clause, one of the competitions. I actually placed in it, but and I won a scholarship that I couldn't take advantage of. It's just like you not being able to go to Hollywood to record your music. But that one didn't have any narration or sound. They just wanted the score. And I didn't like that as much. I mean, I focused more on really creating a good score, and it was nice and it was interesting, and I learned a lot about my libraries doing that one. But it was a different kind of challenge, whether or not that they give that to you. And sometimes what I think they'll have that as part of that. I think Score the World, they say, well, hey, show us what you got as far as kind of an engineering approach to it and making sure that you kind of mix it right. And I think Mark is actually one of the judges on that one. But yeah, I mean, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious.
I found that when I brought the audio in at first, before I even started scoring it, that there was a section that part in the middle where she's talking about, August, whatever, 1997 was supposed to be Judgment Day. If you look, I was looking at the waveform, and the waveform got really big there compared to any other place in the movie. So I did sort of just even it out so that the volume was consistent.
Actually, I don't think it was right here. It was right. Where are we? Right here. I don't see many of you. That was really loud.
Yes. That's where
that was the really loud one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah.
whoa.
So I just did some clip gain adjustment, and I just made sure that it was, fairly consistent throughout.
That was like too loud. Now the, talk really fast. That was appropriate. Right. That's like your level. that was the the bar, I guess.
Right. That was the reference.
And
yeah.
the other one was too high.
Yeah.
And there were a couple others that were a little bit too low. And I went through in the waveform and kind of boosted to try and balance it out a little bit, as well, just a little bit. I didn't need to do much, but just enough to make sure that it was nice and strong. And I kind of stumbled on that by accident when I'm screwing around with the audio. I was using my mouse, and I when you scroll over it and roll the wheel, it increases and decreases the volume of it. And I'm like, because I turned it way down, like, where'd it go? Then, oh, well, hey, I can do this. So I'm going to go through and I kind of, balance things from there. But
So,
Well, it's-
so I have a question for everybody here. And that is, when you bounce down the final version, did you separate the music from the voices and the effects? Did you use a submix? Because originally I didn't. I had everything going through the master, and I had all my mastering plugins on the master. So I was in effect mastering the voice and the effects. So I created a submix and put the mastering plugins on that, and that way only the music got mastered, mastered, and
Yeah.
everything else just went right to the master track. Did anybody else?
Yeah, I did the same thing too, because it's funny how you always talking about like the different volumes and the audio. I kept it there because that's let me know that that was important. Reason why they was maybe louder. So I really took the dialogue, that if it was loud there, like when he said, "I noticed you upset," like I had a drum thing going, and I waited till after he said that because I felt that that was important. And then the whole, they're in bed, so yeah, I mixed it without, like, I didn't touch their sound design. I added a little more sound design, a little more, sound design. But yeah, I did the same thing. I didn't touch their dialogue and their sound design. I just kind of let it go out. And I have like an instrument buff, that I use.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that way I didn't want to touch their sound, because they could just strip all that out. I don't, I'm familiar with the process. We probably just send them the music, and then the editor will probably do what they do. If we were actually working with the editor, I don't know if we would send it all together. Obviously we'll probably send separate, bounce outs, like without the dialogue and stuff, separate. When I'm looking.
Yeah, you would send just the music, right? So yeah, so I couldn't figure out why then I realized that the one of the reasons why the dialogue was just, really interfering with everything was because it was being mastered. So I separated the music out.
I ended up using a little bit of a mastering in the end. But what I do is, so I've set up sends to a group of buses for my effects. And so I processed and did any of the effects that I would use, or reverbs having that space. I would do that on the music, but I didn't process at all any of the dialogue.
Yeah.
That really also needed to be front and center. Okay.
Right.
Then I sent the two of them out, but I did do a little bit of sweetening on the final mix. But there's no extra reverb on there. There's just a little bit of EQ just to kind of balance. I've got a couple of those, one button push it and it just makes it sound good. So
is that like that?
Works.
Greg Wells.
Pretty cool. Like, hit the button and it works great.
Yeah.
So I got a couple of those. I played around and picked one or two, and I did a couple little things, but
yeah, that'll do it.
So,
okay,
but yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Don't throw reverb on your effects and your.
Yeah, make sure you're not mastering the dialogue and the special effects.
So, yeah.
All right. So for our listening audience, does anybody have any other tips and tricks to share with the folks that might listen to this and try it again on their own from our group? I do. Have fun.
Yeah,
it's cool. It's a fun thing to do. So
it was fun.
And we had fun, and hope you do too. With that, I'm going to close off our recording. We're going to probably do the colony next, and we'll throw that into the chat so people will have that. But whenever you're picking up and listening to this, join us. It's either every other Wednesday or every 3 Wednesdays. We're still kind of going back and forth, but look in the chat, and we'll determine when the next sessions are and what we're actually working on. I had fun. I hope you guys had fun, and we're going to
Yep.
keep going and scoring to picture. So thank you, Art. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Janet. And then thank you, Dick, for putting together a great piece. And hopefully we'll get some more feedback by plugging this into the QTube challenge and hearing more from the folks there. And then I encourage everybody to go listen to what other folks have been doing that. There's plenty of people that are out there scoring to this, and you'll get everyone you listen to, you're going to get a new idea. And the more ideas we have, the bigger toolbox we have to try and do this and get better. So thanks again. We'll see you soon. And we're going to kill the recording. Where'd you go? There we go. I'm going to stop the share. Then I'm going to find the button and stop the live. Thank you all very much.
Are you sure you did it?